Did everyone? Did everyone get the email that was sent out on Friday with the new information about the website having the packet?
Who was it sent out by, Jill?
I sent it out on Friday afternoon.
Yeah, I have nothing from you, Natalie, or Jenny on Friday.
I got it and I was able to open everything up and read the minutes and all that.
I wonder if my kids were on the computer and deleted it on accident, if that's why it's not there.
Yeah, it was sent at 4:30 approximately.
All right, let me look real quick. Yeah, all I got is Little League and I got school stuff at 4:30 on Friday.
Mine just popped up. It took a while. I had to go and reset it and start again.
Hmm.
And you've got to put your name in on the one page that came up.
Were we all having problems getting on?
Yeah, Marlene called me. She was having problems.
Yeah,
That's
Yeah.
just today, but Friday I
Oh,
got the
there.
information and looked at it.
Now she's connected.
Yep, I'm here. Thanks, Carl.
You're welcome.
So give me a second. I'm gonna go to the website so I have the, because I don't even have the agenda.
Did you get the email?
No, I didn't. Oh, did you just sent it out? Let me.
He just
check my
sent it out a
email.
few minutes ago. Again.
I just put the link. I don't know if the link will bring you to the page. I just put it into the chat.
Okay, they want to hear me now?
Okay, it just sent out a PDF of the packet.
Okay, let me grab that. So I'll apologize because I'll be switching back and forth on screens.
Hear
Okay,
me, it's
so it looks
Brian.
like, yep, we can hear you, Brian.
Okay.
All right, let's call this meeting to order at 6:08. Roll call. Carl's here. Roger, are you here? I have not heard from Roger. Tina, I thought, yep, there's Tina. Susan will not be here. She had contacted me earlier. She double booked herself tonight. So she has to be excused. Connor, you're here. Colton. And Brian. Did I miss anybody?
Arlene, I'm here.
Did I not say your name?
Mm-mm.
Oh,
My picture's up in the corner and then Chris, your picture's the big one. But normally they line up above with pictures, but I just have a self-portrait.
I'm not sure. So can we get, like I said, I haven't heard from Roger. Can we get a motion to excuse Susan, but not Carl? Will just have to go as miss unless Jenny or Jill or Russ heard from him.
I haven't.
so I move that we excuse Susan.
I'll
I
second.
had a second.
All in favor?
I
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, let's see here. Do we have any? I don't see any guests, so we don't have any guest business, I'm assuming. Action item approved minutes. Has everybody had a chance outside of me to read the
I
minutes?
did.
Yep.
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 I guess I'm the only one that didn't get them, so. Anybody got any changes? No? Can I get a motion to approve the minutes?
Motion to approve.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, let's see here. Sorry again, I'm switching back and forth between screens. Discussion items, Jill and Russ, the draft plaque and memorial policy.
Thank you, Chris. So late last year, there was a briefing and just a scoping session with the Parks Board regarding a policy for plaques and memorials on city property. Staff receives requests for these, as I'm sure some of you received requests as well. And we have a kind of an informal procedure for some of that. And then we thought it would be best to formalize a policy that guides those efforts. So when someone approaches the city to place a memorial within a park or open space, public space, that we can have a consistent format and a consistent aesthetic throughout our public areas and our parks for that. So through that scoping session, the Parks Board made some comments of what they would like to see inside that policy. And so staff drafted a policy that's attached in your packet that goes over, the placement of them, the aesthetic, and different types of plaques and memorials and procedure. So this meeting, we're just discussing it, taking your comments regarding the draft policy that's provided for you. And then we can bring it back if you have any changes and for your approval. So this came directly from your work plan. And it's, I think that the policy covers a lot of the aspects and the things that were discussed at the scoping session. But it's 2 pages, so it's not overwhelming. But with that, I would like to hear your feedback or any questions that you might have. And Russ, if you had anything to add to it.
So I have one question.
Sure.
So it says that you'll refer it to the Arts and Park Foundation if somebody comes in, and that's because they're going to make a donation for that. Would the city want to set the amount of the donation in your plan, in your policy, or should that be a foundation thing?
So this would be, and I think it is for the on-park furnishings. So that's the park bench procedure that,
Yes.
that the Arts and Parks Foundation has been working with the city on, and really being the point of contact for those. The fee that was established was based on the cost of the implementation of that, but I'm sure that we can take a look at that and revisit it. We know that supply chain issues and costs of materials are changing. The fees for that, so it probably bears to look at. In the policy, we didn't define any of the costs of those. We just said it would be borne by the person proposing the plaque or memorial.
Okay, so that's still the case, is that they have to pay and we won't charge anything in addition to it.
Correct.
I forgot to unmute myself again. The only question I had is, and I went through the policy online, the parks plan, trying to find it myself, and I couldn't, and you and Russ might be able to help. At one point, we actually, as a park board, wrote up a policy specific to plaques on benches and stuff. And this was years ago because we had several benches donated to go into a park, and there were going to be plaques on them. Were either one of you guys able to, because I didn't find it, find that old policy? Because if that policy's in there, we need to, if it changes, we need to update it or move it, I would guess. But I do specifically remember going over it because a lot of the examples we brought, I went down on the Centennial Trail and took pictures of what the county at the time was doing with their park benches. So I know it was addressed. Where it's at now, I don't know.
I believe that there was a signage and it may have been captured in that signage plan. The signage plan was brought back in approximately 2016, 17, and it was enrolled in and incorporated into the beautification plan, but it was silent on the plaques and memorials. So we fielded some questions regarding this in recent times. And so we thought that it would be good to get a policy out for consistency, but it would replace any existing policy that we would have for plaques or memorials.
I just know we spent several meetings going over what we envision, and that does sound somewhat familiar. We were also doing signage at the time, but I do remember specifically, and it was really the bench plaques is what had come up at the time, because we were looking for more tables and benches to be put in, specifically North Cove Park. What if Jill Meese Enterprises wants to put a table in? We wanted to make sure that, you know, your plaque wasn't bigger than Chris Jones Enterprises plaque on the same exact table we donated. So we had set standards. That's why I was wondering if those somehow got redone when we redid some of the signage stuff, or if it just kind of, I'm not sure what happened to it.
I'm not sure what happened in the previous iteration. I know that since North Cove at least, and I don't know prior to that, Russ would probably have a better gauge on that, but we've had the Arts and Parks Foundation has a jig and a prescriptive size that works with the bench slat sizes. And so they've headed the charge on that so that they're all consistent. They all, they're all the same materials. Of course, the text is a little different. And then sometimes a person will choose, I know one of them has a fishing pole on it. And so there's small things, but the size of it, the font, you know, the look of it is all consistent throughout.
And my recollection of this topic, Chris, is that the sign program you put together really was for different types of signs. And as Jill said, that got rolled into the beautification plan. And we had some discussion about that with the board several years ago. This other piece that you're referencing, a guide for memorials, I don't believe I've ever run across that. So if that's something, you know, I will take a look for that and, you know, see if we can't find it. But I think what you're saying is spot on, that in addition to the text here, we could actually take it another step and put some specifications in there for sizes, because we do have a couple of different sizes now in the park. Obviously, the bench memorials, as Jill just described, are of one size. We have some larger donations where they're donating areas of the park that have larger, like an 8x10 type size plaque. So I think, again, that maybe gets back to Tina's comment that the size of the donation going through the Arts and Parks Foundation and the type of donation that they're doing might have a larger sign. Another example would be Sarita's Playground. That's a much larger plaque and memorial that was originally sponsored by the family when Lundin Park was redone. The city sponsored the replacement of that. So, but I think to your point, Chris, yeah, we can add some pictures and very specific text of what we're expecting for sign sizes in different areas.
And that's what I was going to say also, is that I think it's extremely beneficial if somebody comes to the foundation and says, hey, we want to put a park in there, that the foundation has a policy from the city to say, okay, well, this is the size, and or that park is saturated, we can't put any more benches in there, or, you know, I think that it's not wise to leave it with the foundation, because it's a city's property we're dealing with. And so the foundation has been doing it, but I don't think that's, with my park board hat on, I don't think that that's the right place for it. I think that the city ought to be delineating all of that.
And I would have to ask Marlene and Carl really to remember, but when we did that, I think my big concern is I know we've done a lot to clean up these policies and stuff, because we used to have a lot of, one sentence it would say we're doing this, next sentence it'd say we're doing this. I think for me, it was just more that we're not doubling up. If we already have it in print, make sure we either continue with that or we change it. But when we did that, I was still new to the park board. So we're talking that had to have been 10 years ago.
And we really cleaned up the wordage back then.
Yeah, it was quite lengthy for something so simple.
I think having it formalized in the different aspects of what types of memorials and where they're placed really helps it be a predictable process for the person proposing the memorial, and then also for the city as well.
Yeah, and to make, just like Chris said, that there needs to be some unity throughout the parks. And if we say that a park bench is this much of a donation, and that, because right now I'm pretty sure we say it's $2,000 for a park bench to have a donation to the foundation, and then they bear the costs, so it's 2,000 plus. And so those are the kinds of things I'm thinking of. Well, who sets that amount of 2,000? The foundation did. But is that something that should be something that's done by the city about what would be a ballpark or finite amount?
It would make it uniform.
And not put the onus on the foundation. I just think with my park board hat on, I think it makes sense that the city sets it and the foundation can be the recipient of a donation.
So a couple of things for the board. The city can accept direct donations. We've not had a limit. That's really not our role to suggest if somebody wants to do a memorial that they have to specify an amount. It's usually been in the case that someone will come to the city and will say, I would like to donate X. Sometimes it's anonymous, sometimes it's not. If it goes over a certain dollar amount, the city council has to take a formal action to accept that donation. So I think that's why we've used the Arts and Parks Foundation as the vehicle as a nonprofit to accept these donations. And then if you want to set what you believe are appropriate levels of donation for different services, I think that's fine. For the city, what we should do is set the regulatory framework for what that sign would look like. And as you've been talking, I did find the document that Chris was referring to, and it's somewhat, as Chris remembered, but it's actually not very specific either. So it does give the example for waste receptacles to do like a 3x6 tile. And then it says larger memorial signs need to be sort of reflect the space. So those would be one-offs. And I guess what I'm suggesting we could do is we can set up for, if it is a park bench, this is what your plaque should look like. If it's for a larger area or something more significant, we can also set that upper end site. And then if the Parks and Arts Foundation finds it appropriate then to have suggested donation amounts, I think you can definitely do that, but I don't think we're trying to set up a system where you pay for a naming privilege in the park. It's truly
Okay.
about,
That makes sense for us.
yeah.
That makes lots of sense.
And I think for the other memorials, there's, that was just, the Arts and Parks Foundation was just for the bench dedications. And that was something that the city had agreed with the Arts and Parks Foundation, that was something that they could carry out. But for the other memorials or plantings, those types of things, then the city would review those on a case-by-case basis and the appropriate location and the appropriate species of the planting.
Yeah, and what I vaguely remember too is we never got into, we were really focusing on benches and tables was the big thing that drove that, because at the time there were, as you remember, North Cove had those new benches put on the north side of the park by the trees. And I think those were the benches at the time that were being brought in or were being suggested. So I think that's how it kind of got to us at that point.
Could we spell out what furnishings are? You know, is it tables, trash cans,
Sure.
benches? So that, because we know what it is, but would, you know, someone else who's not part of the park system know?
Sure.
Well, it will depend too on where they place and what they want. There's some areas that could take a little bit bigger bench, for example, than others. So I don't think we want to tie ourselves down too much to make it more usable.
Okay. Carl, you're saying the size of the plaque or the size of the furnishing? I
Right.
think, the, go ahead.
We've got a new one just installed down by the creek, and it's a little bit bigger than some of the others, but there's a reason for it. We got a nice donation to do something with that space.
Right, okay.
So don't tie our hands.
I think for the furnishing itself, it's not specified, but the plaque size is specified.
Yeah.
And that I think is just for consistency. And also I think probably because the all the costs are known with that particular size. So it's predictable for folks to you know, to get an accurate price quote on it.
We're going to have more spaces too as they finish out the park. Like they're laying cement now, there's going to be more places for these kind of items.
And that's one of the things I wanted to know is, will you set a saturation limit? Or are we just gonna go to the city and say, can we put this bench there?
I would think an application, and then it could be reviewed and see how it fits.
And that's what we've placed in the policy, is that they're reviewed for saturation.
Right, I saw that. But that's why I was like, do we need to spell that out, or can we just go and look at it case by case?
I think it'll be probably a case by case. You know, the model that the city has been doing in the parks now is the furniture the city's been supplying, unless, like Carl mentioned, the one this summer was, or this fall, excuse me, was a suggestion in a place where we didn't have any amenities. And so that one was reviewed, you know, on a case by case. But generally, this city has been placing the benches because we have a certain type of bench or style or aesthetic of bench in each park. And those are selected, you know, at the time of scoping the park. And then, so yes, in the instance of, you know, suggesting let's bring in, you know, a 12-foot bench into like Glendine, when we already have a style or an aesthetic already set in that, then we would, you know, the existing benches that aren't dedicated would be available for dedication. And if there was an idea for a new piece or a new amenity of some sort, then we could definitely review those ones on a case by case. But I think In the past, you're right, the Arts and Parks Foundation has paid for or installed a new amenity, but generally, I think moving forward, it'll more likely be ones that have already placed and then
Okay,
subsequently dedicated.
okay.
And maybe another way to think about this too, obviously we have, like, for example, Frontier Heights, where we put in a couple of picnic shelters. There's still multiple benches that need to get rolled out. So all of those would be available in the future. As we're going to be going into our design discussions later this year for Sunset, Eagle Ridge, and some other parks, that might be an opportunity to engage the greater Arts and Parks Foundation if they wanted to go out during that early planning phase and to start to solicit potential donors for parks as well, and working hand in hand with the design phase. So it's a little bit more predictable, because obviously when we're ordering the furniture, we're sort of, I won't say going to the minimum, but most of our parks can always have more park furniture than we have. So I think that would be a good opportunity, during that planning phase.
Okay.
That's a great
I'll bring
idea for
that back.
Frontier.
Yeah.
Anybody got anything else? Had to make sure I was unmuted again. Let's see here. And just so we notice, Roger has joined us.
Sorry, my wife had some surgery, so I've been trying to take care of her at the same time, so.
Do we, Jill, before I get too far, we didn't make a motion on Roger, just on Susan, so we don't need to do anything with Roger joining.
No,
Right,
we'll just have the minutes reflect the time that he
And I
joined.
forgot. Yeah, I forgot Roger wasn't with us.
Okay,
Well, thanks, Tina.
I'm sorry. I thought you were with us because you're always in my heart. You're always with us.
Aw.
Valentine's Day.
well, Valentine's
Thank you.
Day. Jill, Parks update.
All right, thank you. So it looks like a relatively short update, but there's a lot of info in there. The curbs have been poured along Main Street at the corner of Main Street and the Mill Spur. So that always gives me a nice visual of where and kind of spatially locates where that road's going to be. So if you haven't been down there lately, you can see it's really coming together and you can start to visualize it. Eagle Ridge, staff has performed the initial outreach for a cultural resource consultant. We've had a request from National Parks to get that going prior to the contract. So we're working with a consultant to get that done. Cedarwood Community Center, staff has prepared a legislative ask to help with the construction costs of that. We've also made an initial outreach for a structural engineer to come in and give us a good idea of what the current existing structure can support and what we can do with the space. Sunset Park, pretty exciting. We have chosen a consultant to start planning that site, as well as some early action, which I don't know if any of you have been out there lately, but there appears to be some erosion down by the shoreline. So we'd like to have that assessed, as well as the structural integrity of the dock. So those are the early action items that they're going to work on. And then we'll work into the planning of the park and the design of the park. We'll hold the open houses. And of course, you guys will be a part of that. And also, we'll give input on that as we go into design of that.
Just to add on to Jill's comments, so when we brought on this firm, our goal is to have them do a complete design of the park. But as far as budget and funding goes, we'll only be really focusing on the safety improvements and some of these priority improvements this year, and then probably coming back next year with a second phase. But we'll do the complete design, but only a part of the improvements this year.
Thank you, Russ. We're working through the acquisition for the easements on the 20th Street ball field property in the first phase of the trail. Actually, I should rephrase that a little bit. It's the acquisition easements for the trail, and then also looking at implementing the design on the 20th Street ball fields property. The events, recreation, and culture, the request for proposals that we sent out this year for festivals and events, as well as recreation programs, closed today at 5. We have a couple of proposals that I haven't really gone through yet, and so I will give you an update at our next meeting of how that went and what we received. The boat show at North Cove, we postponed it until 2023. The boat industry is experiencing, as a lot of other industries, a shortage of supply. So you can't have a boat show without boats, and they don't have any inventory. So we're postponing that to 2023. So Catherine Creek Disc Golf hosted 2 tournaments last weekend, a week ago. And those went off without a hitch, and they were well attended from what I heard. The first annual police polar plunge for the Special Olympics is happening later on this month. So it'd be great. If anybody wants to join us, you can get the information off of the website or donate. If you don't want to get wet, you can still participate and raise money. They will have the mill open as a warming center afterwards, and the Snohomish Regional Fire will be out with the rescue swimmers in case anybody has any trouble, but it should be a nice event. So we're excited for that. That's the first one. March 6th, Evergreen Dive Service will return and do their underwater cleanup at Davies Beach. Yeah, they've been a great partner. This will be the 3rd time that they've gone under to clean up. They said that there's more at Davies Beach. So, but we will have that boat launch closed that day until noon. We'll have our signage out, but if you know, just so you have that tucked in the back of your mind. The water tower sculpture is in production. The artist that did the design and was selected by our committee has started production of it. So we're awfully excited to see that. And the Arts and Parks Foundation has decided on the design for the seat wall at North Cove. And it's a nature inspired theme. It's a great design. And I was going to have the visuals ready for you to show you today, and I was having some trouble before the meeting, but it really captures all of our natural beauty of the area, and it goes from the land and then into the lake. So it depicts this on a 50-foot long mural, and it includes all different types of wildlife found in Lake Stevens. So we're really excited to see that. And I will be bringing you visuals for that at your next meeting.
It'll be on the inside of the splash park.
Correct.
Correct.
Yes.
I was wondering, Jill.
It'll be made of tiles that are very resistant to getting marked or tagged.
Yes, anti-graffiti. Yes. Roger, did you have something?
Yeah, I just wonder if you could send us those drops of those 2 projects before the next meeting so we can get a good look at them.
Sure.
Yeah.
The water tower sculpture and the
bench.
Yeah. So the files are really large.
Are they? Oh, okay.
They are. But the water tower sculpture, definitely.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's part of the foundation wants to get on the park board agenda to present the artwork.
Oh, fantastic.
But we have to figure out the technical part of it because it's such a big file. How do we get it on screen so you can see what it is?
Well,
so we're figuring that out still.
And Tina, on the artist, is it going to be like 1, 2, 5, 10 people doing all this, or is it?
No, it's one person.
One person.
With a whole panel that flows together. It's got the water. It's got animals. It kind of goes through the whole watershed.
Did they give you a time frame on how long it's gonna take? Sounds like pretty complicated thing.
I guess you can just print them.
Oh.
So, right, Marlene?
Yeah, it's being printed on tiles, which will be, someone will affix them and put the whole thing together, and each tile could be repaired or replaced should it become damaged. And
That's
the artwork,
the seawall.
planning's all done.
Were you referring to the wall or to the water tower sculpture?
Splash pad in North Cove. The wall, there's that little
the splash
city
part.
wall.
So were there any changes to the water tower sculpture since we reviewed it with the artist?
There has been
Or
minor,
what?
and I'm showing this is the preliminary drawing. There's been a few changes, with some of the structural supports, and that drawing I have not received from the artist yet of the final, but this gives you an overall aesthetic of what he's proposing for the water towers sculpture.
So is that whole top piece gonna be different colors like the ones that are colored, or are they gonna be just plain wood?
It's all stainless steel,
or
and
stainless steel?
the top, these are kind of to emulate waves. I think it's an acrylic and it's in
Mhm.
different blues, and then it will be internally lit.
Okay,
Oh, cool.
That's
So
cool.
did they make a final decision as to where the water tower was going to be?
So at this time, we have proposed it in the area of the intersection at North Lakeshore Drive and Main Street. It would be on that plaza space that's north of the City Hall entrance. So it would be on the southwest corner in that general
So
vicinity.
and would that be in the concrete area there?
Correct. Mhm.
It would be the northeast
So
corner, wouldn't it? Oh, no, you're right. Southeast, okay.
Southwest.
Or south.
What's
It
the
is-
approximate proposed height of this?
I think it's 20 feet,
Okay, so this is approximately to scale.
approximately, yes.
Okay. Because I saw the base there and it looked like yeah. It almost looks
Top
like
of a
a
house.
house on the bottom. I'm thinking this is, okay.
Yes, the base of it, the artist wanted to, in the original water tower that wasn't part of the Rucker Brothers mill, the pump house was quite considerable. It was a large structure. It was a house, and that's not typical of the other water towers. So he wanted to kind of capitalize on that. And so the lower portion of it, which, of course, has a double purpose as the bottom of it that holds it all together, but also kind of pays homage to that unique look of it.
So Jill, I'm sorry, and just one more question. There was some landscaping that was going to be applied in the area. Is that going to will concrete have to be removed in order to do that, or will there be a space available?
I think what we were proposing is probably some artistic pots, or there's some type of an addition. I don't know that they would remove concrete for it, but I think that that's what we had talked about, was doing some type of permanent artistic type of planters in that area. But I don't think that the final decision's been made on that.
thank you.
You're welcome.
Anybody got anything else on park update? Okay, let's move on to board member reports. Connor, you got anything?
No report from me.
Marlene?
I'm keeping an eye on the One Eagle Nest on Davies Road and not quite sure if they're active in it yet, but they sure were the last 2 years. So that's interesting. That's all I have to say.
Chris, I actually do have one thing, if you don't mind.
Yeah, go ahead, Connor.
Yeah, so as many of y'all know, I teach at North Lake Middle School. And as the afternoons get longer and things start to dry out, I know that there are a ton of students from North Lake that start to go over to North Cove in the afternoon. I've started to get some, hear some feedback, even just some of the folks that came over yesterday to watch the Super Bowl. They bring their kids over, and the playground in the afternoon is pretty inundated with middle school kids. I've asked some of these kids to move from I do our running club, and I'll run through there, and they're on the playground throwing footballs where there's kids there. And unfortunately, there's a lot of really inappropriate language that's often used. And it's a regular occurrence, and I know this with the city hall being right there, if there's anything that the city can do to perhaps just incentivize them to head out from the playground area, maybe use the grass space, as families don't feel like, that it's theirs, like the kids just inundated for a couple of hours.
We have been made aware of it. I know that last week we talked about some signage so that we can clearly set the expectation of the space. And then also our police have been made aware of the situation as well. And I know that I saw them out last week at approximately the dismissal time. So we are aware of that, but I appreciate that information, and we're looking at ways to to help them recreate in a responsible way in the park, and because we do have some great areas to throw the football around, and it's just adjacent to the playground. So we are working on it.
Awesome. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Connor.
Thanks, Connor. Brian?
No updates for me today.
Carl?
Yeah, a couple of things. One, for the big blocks that are making City Hall stand, their big cement going all the way down to the playground, kind of barren and everything. I wonder if we couldn't grow ivory of some kind that would maybe of different colors or something, so that doesn't get tagged and spray painted. Food for thought.
We do have a species of landscaping that was planted, and we have kind of a wire diamond design on there. And I think that it's not living up to its expectation, Carl, of growing. But that was the thought. So I'll check back with our crew and find out if maybe some of them got pulled out or if they are growing. I haven't specifically looked at that recently, but I do know that they set the wire and planted a growing variety. And the name escapes me of the specific plant, but I will check on that.
Okay.
Quick question on that, Jill. Is that wall permanent, or will in further phases of the park will that be removed when City Hall moves?
I believe that's permanent. Russ, is that your understanding as well?
Yeah, those are going to be permanent. If City Hall moves, that area would be for additional parking. The whole site would have to be regraded, including the playground, if that elevation were to change. So
When City Hall moves, right? Not if.
no if.
Anything else, Carl?
Yeah, happy Valentine's Day to everybody. And here's some Zoom candy I'm sharing with you guys.
Oh, thank you. Tastes good.
Happy
The
Valentine's
dentist said
Day.
it was good for you.
Roger,
I don't have anything. I just was gonna ask Brian if anything's come about with the bike track. Have you heard anything, or is it just kind of a mute thing for a while, or?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think we're still waiting on Centennial Woods and whether or not we can move forward with that. And I think there was a acquisition still pending on the gas line property. I don't know if there's.
Okay. And then I guess this is for Jill or Russ, but if the governor lifts the mask mandate, are we gonna start meeting again, or are we gonna just keep doing Zoom for a while? Or is that
I,
a city policy?
We're going to be meeting this month sometime to make some of those decisions. City council is most likely going to stay operating in a hybrid fashion, and the other boards and commissions will probably follow suit, but I will guess that we're going to offer a hybrid option moving forward.
Okay,
Just we've had in all of our other boards and commissions better citizen input and involvement, and it's just been fairly productive for different situations.
so that also goes with like any grand openings of any type too then?
Any grand openings would go back in person. Those would most likely not be in a Zoom format.
Okay.
or maybe possibly have them again. Get caught up.
Yeah, because we still haven't had the grand opening for the skate park, and then with 20th coming up too, it's.
Yeah, no, the skate park one had a grand opening. We've not had an opening of the mill or North Cove Park. I think the skate park was the last one we did.
I don't remember that.
Tina was there.
I was there. I said, thank you, Russ.
No, all of us. Carl was there, and so yeah.
See here, Colton.
All right. Hello, Chris. Hello, everyone. I just want to say thanks to Connor for pointing out I actually had questions about middle schoolers, since mine's also like Chris, a middle schooler in that sense. And she just started walking down to their, that park from after school on occasion. So it's good to know what kind of guidelines and rules I can give her to make sure she's, not doing something she's not supposed to be doing. So anyhow, thanks both of you. The only thing I had was last month I mentioned the Recreate Responsibly Coalition. I think that we went through some framework and reorganization, and I have information for anybody that's interested. I just sent some out to Brian, but it's kind of a broad scale work group which is really focused in on messaging and some folks from all throughout Washington are involved. So I don't have a quick and easy dirty kind of summary that I can give you, but I can tell you that we do get into work groups and we do create communication products and also talk about the greater state of Washington and what we can do to improve recreation and responsible recreation within there. So I can give you anybody that's interested, just maybe shoot me an email. I know I talked to Jill. I said I was going to send her all that, but I don't want to bog anybody down. So I guess we'll leave it at that. And thanks for the candy, Carl, and happy Valentine's Day, everyone. I'll put my email in the chat just in case anybody's in. Thanks, Chris.
Colton, I saw you made the Herald with that Vail discussion a couple weeks back, I think.
Yeah, that's a scary one. I'm trying to stay out of the newspaper as much as I can. Thanks, though.
Thanks, Colton. Tina.
For the foundation, I mentioned that the foundation would like to formally present the splash pad art to the board for your input, for our input and discussion. And another thing that the foundation is thinking about is trail placards that would like have some kind of information like, oh, here's Mount Pilchuck, here's what it looks like, and here's some information about it along the trail. And that would be another opportunity to garner some donations. So that's something else that the foundation will want to talk to the board about. And on June 4th, there is a band festival that the community band is putting together. And it's going to have the middle school bands and the high school bands and the community band. And that's my report from the foundation. Carl and Marlene, did I leave anything out?
Nope,
Oh,
I
just
think you had it.
They said the xylophone group from, was it from Mount Pilchuck Elementary?
Mount Pilchuck.
Pilchuck.
That they're hoping to bring them too.
Yeah, I think that's a really fun idea.
Yeah. I did just remember something. There was a large donation towards the pump track. I think it was anonymous. If it's not, please correct me if you guys think of that it wasn't, but I'm pretty sure it was anonymous. And so it's a nice little chunk of money to get started.
Nice.
If I can just add one thing, if everyone's already gone, I think that was everyone, was it, Chris?
Yes.
So as you saw, we transitioned over to civic clerk, and I sent out an email, and I don't know if you all got it or not. I don't think Chris did. Some of you may have, and some of you may not. So I appreciate your patience. It was a little bit of a rocky start on this one, but we're ironing out all of the kinks. So this will be the new packet. Distribution will be online. We'll send out the notice, when it's ready and when it's up. So we'll still keep you notified. And then the Zoom link will be embedded, as you have seen at the top of the agenda. But if you have any questions as we're transitioning over, it is a little bit different. Don't hesitate to reach out and let Natalie or myself know if you have any questions, and we're happy to walk you through that. So I apologize for our delayed start today, but hopefully we won't have that again.
And I should have probably called you a little bit sooner also. And I'm getting ready and went, wait a minute, I don't have nothing. So on board member reports, the only thing I have is, I'm sure a lot of you guys have seen our baseball field lights have been on at night. Little League is firing up at the high school. We did tryouts this weekend at the high school, and I think the number I heard was 372 kids came through our tryouts.
Whoa.
We're expecting over 600 kids in our league again this year. So good start so far, and the weather was absolutely beautiful. I burnt my nose in the sun because I was out there from 8 a.m. till 4 p.m. and didn't think about sun lotion, but man, what a great weekend this was. So that's all I have. Let's see here. We got Councilmember Dixon with us. Do you got anything?
Just, I love coming to your meetings because it's always cheers me on, and the foundation working on what they want to work on for the trail. Okay, you do it. And no, I just enjoying this very much. I really think you're a great group and you do so much for our community. So just a big thank you and happy Valentine's Day. I have no candy because Carl, I don't know what he did. Well, I'm looking for it, but thank you for being here. I appreciate all of your work, all of you.
The modern method of Zoom.
Thank you, Mary. We do have a spot for future agenda items, and Tina, you wanted to add one thing to the agenda with was that the approval of the splash pad?
Yeah, I guess it would be approval of the artwork.
So we'll just have to,
I
we'll
think
see
it's
if we
more
can
of
get
a
that.
briefing, if I can interrupt. The artwork had already been approved through a review committee. So I think it's really just introducing it to the park board in its final iteration.
Okay.
Okay.
So the committee that was the approval, then the park board doesn't have to, is what you're saying.
Correct.
Okay.
Oh, okay, perfect. Then I don't think we have anything there. I think that's it unless Russ or Jill, you got anything to add?
I don't. Tina, I can work with you with getting the information up so we can present
Yeah.
it. I'll probably
Yeah.
have to just share screen because I don't know that we can transfer it because of the size of the files.
Right. I was able to open it. And so, yeah, we'll work together.
Sounds great.
Russ, anything?
Doesn't it have to go to city council for final approval or something of the whole project? I was under the impression it did. No?
City council does accept, final pieces.
So when we have the design that's final, we will end, the piece has to be formally accepted by the city council as a donation. So we go through that process at the end of the project.
Sweet. Russ, did you have anything else to add?
No, I didn't. Thanks, everyone.
All right. Well, thank you, everybody, for showing up again tonight, and especially on your Valentine's Day. And so hope everybody has a great week. And can I get a motion to adjourn?
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Well, thank you very, very much, everybody, and have a great evening.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chris.
Everyone. Bye, guys.
Thanks, Chris. Thanks, everyone.
Yeah.